back to another video. This video is a little bit different than what I've done in the past. I'm used to doing podcasts, but I decided to try something slightly different. Today, I wanted to explain lift simply and practically. So, first things first, you need to understand a few things, and the primary thing is, what is an airfoil? Well, this is an airfoil right here. It is the shape of the wing, and there are various shapes of airfoils depending upon what the aircraft's intentions are, but that's for later. So here's your basic design, and we're going to get into components of an airfoil. So first things first, the chord line. The chord line, you can think about the chord line as a cross section. So you can see from this side to this side, basically cut in half. My line isn't perfect. It should be, but the slideshow wouldn't let me make it perfect. But that is the chord line. So you have the camber. The camber is the curvature of the wing. There's an upper camber, as seen here, and a lower camber, as seen there. Now, you have the leading edge and the trailing edge. The leading edge is more towards the forward side of the aircraft, while the trailing edge is towards the aft of the aircraft. Okay, something that is detrimental to your success as a pilot is understanding what angle of attack is and knowing the textbook definition, because it is something that pops up all the time on written tests as well as practical tests. So the literal textbook definition of angle of attack is the angle between the relative wind and the chord line. So how I show that here is we have the chord line from earlier up here, this pink line, and then our relative wind hitting the wing and kind of meeting up with that chord line. So that's going to be your angle of attack. Alright, so let's get into lift. There are two ways that you can describe lift. So we'll start with Sir Isaac Newton's way. Sir Isaac Newton is very important to the success of modern day physics and mathematics. He really helped us understand how do planes fly and what exactly happens. So Sir Isaac Newton's third law in particular states, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. And we can see that here with this depiction. We have our airfoil, relative wind, and two arrows. So this is what they mean. Relative wind is hitting the bottom of the airfoil, is deflected down, and the opposite reaction is up. So let's identify and break down Newton's third law. For every action, the action here in this case is the relative wind hitting the bottom of the airfoil and getting deflected downward. There is an equal and opposite reaction. Let's identify the equal and opposite reaction, and that is this upward force, or lift. The last way to describe lift is based off Daniel Bernoulli's principle. And he was pretty smart. He conducted several experiments that led him to this conclusion. So, Daniel Bernoulli loved the difference between high and low pressure, and he figured out that a faster moving fluid, aka air, has a lower pressure, whereas a slower moving liquid, like air, has a higher pressure. So it all has to do with how quickly that air is moving. So here we have relative wind, as always, and you can kind of think of it as the air is going over the top and the air is going over the bottom. So let's describe the bottom first. So the high pressure. The air down below the wing is at a higher pressure due to the velocity of that fluid. So this is at a slower velocity than up here. So because of that slower velocity or slower speed of the fluid, it results in a higher pressure. Now, please keep in mind that these are very minuscule changes. These aren't anything huge. So, the low pressure happens due to the fact that the fluid is moving a lot quicker over this camber up here, and thus results in a lower pressure. So, the best way you can think of this as a slide. For example, if you remember when you were a smaller kid and you liked to go to the playground, well, a lot of schools had 2 different playgrounds for 2 different age groups of students. The smaller kids stayed on the smaller playground, and the much more adult or older kids, compared to the younger ones, would stay on the big kid playground. So with that being said, if you were to slide down a big kid slide, you would go a lot faster, which is what up here is like on the top of the wing. Whereas down here, it's like going down the little kid slide. You would go a lot slower. And Daniel Bernoulli came to the conclusion that a high pressure will seek a low pressure. So this slightly higher pressure is going to seek this slightly lower pressure and cause the wing to raise. I think that's pretty cool, and I love to learn how lift works. It's quite complicated, but it's pretty easy to explain once you get the hang of it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope it helped quite a bit. I will be publishing more